We're a web design and development agency for online gaming. We've got a really good internal brand development team. We go through all the design, the concept focus, design focus, build out the brand, and then we start building all the creative assets around that. We try to come up with a more agnostic theme where the hero is the games. The hero is the roulette table. The hero is the slot machine. It's not the brand itself. It's exciting. It's interesting. It's scary. It's worrying. It's, it put us on the edge a little bit. And I think that all that intelligence is going to sort of be disseminated out of AI and a lot of sort of deep thinking and deep theory. And we're going to see the gaming industry really flourish, but a little bit differently. And I think that's where the future is going. And I'm very excited by it.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Sports Betting Conversations with DataArt. Today, we're joined by Moshe Adir, founder at Vegas Kings. Moshe, first-time guest, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little about yourself.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for inviting me on your podcast. I've got so much respect for you guys, and I love your company. And I've listened to a lot of your podcasts in the past, and this is a great time and a good experience to have. So thank you for inviting me on.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Yeah.
So a little bit about my past. It's the exciting thing because online gaming is just the most inspiring place in the world to be. And I think going back in time and telling you my story is fun and exciting. I don't do that often, but yes. So actually, I started a web development agency in 1993 when the internet started. I was there right from the beginning. I built one of the first HTML pages. I actually had a design agency, not web design. I was building logos and stuff for companies. And a friend of mine approached me and he said to me, there's this thing called HTML and there's this thing called a browser. And I'd actually studied programming before. I'd learned programming in the military services. And I had the ability to do programming and design. So he said, you're well positioned to try create a web page. Can you imagine if we could put a logo or graphic on a page and I'll teach you hypertext markup language. And kind of we sat for 3 nights and we just worked it out and we created a graphic on a page. And that I think the next big step was creating a flashing animated GIF and then creating an underline and a rule and how to center something. It was really like the early basics. And kind of that's where I just got excited and ignited over the internet. And in 1994, I was approached by one of the first casinos in the world, and they asked me if I could design their website. And I was lucky enough to be the only web developer around. So, I was the only girl in the bar. And I designed the website and I created all these beautiful mock-ups and I had a bit of a panic attack. My parents saw what I was doing and I said to them, no, I'm building an online casino. They said, casino, that is absolute mafia stuff. What are you doing? And I thought about it and I panicked a little bit. And at that stage, online gaming had such a sort of negative realm to it, and I decided actually not to hand in the mock-ups and I didn't do it. And around the second or third casino that came out, I got involved and that's where I started designing websites. It was for microgaming. And then I was building all the new microgaming sites. And that's kind of where it all started revolving into that world. And actually the first mock-up that I did was the gaming club, which was the first internet casino at that stage. I think that, and then it was Intercasino that took the first live bet, which was a year later. They actually took the first payment processing. And that's where it all sparked off for me. And that just created this massive journey. And at that stage, we were doing corporate websites at the same time too. And I was doing sites for banks I did South Africa's first internet bank. And we did a lot of these big corporate sites. And at that time, we'd called ourselves Stonewall, and we had a lot of our casino projects on the same website. And we started realizing, why are we not converting as many clients? And why are we losing clients? And we started speaking to all our customers, and they said, well, you're associated with online gaming. We can't give you our work. And that's when we realized that we were going down the wrong track. So we built a separate brand. And I was sitting one night working late with my brother Ashley, who's my partner and co-founder. What a legend. I can tell you more about him. But
We know his legend. He's go ahead.
he's such a nice guy. He's
He
like the
is.
younger, more power version than me. But the two of us were just sitting there, and I came up with casino agency and a couple of these cool names, and then he just came up with this name, Vegas Kings. And it just
Wow.
stuck in that
It's a
moment,
great
and we
name.
thought,
That's great.
wow, yeah.
It's really a great name.
So,
Yeah.
back then you could type in anything. I mean, I would type in Heineken.com, it was available. So we typed in VegasKings.com and it was there for us. So we took it.
Wow.
And that's when the Vegas Kings brand was born.
Hmm.
Mm.
Great
And then
story.
sort of we grew into a very large company. We had tons of internal developers. At that stage, we were probably the only Swiss Army knife of web development. You could come to us and we had sort of full stack of everything under our roofs. We had all the different types of programming languages, front end, back end, everything. And yeah, we ended up selling that company because I really didn't enjoy doing corporate web development. I mean, these projects were huge. We would do like an insurance company or a bank, and then it would take 2 to 3 years to finish a project. Back then it was intranets and then extranets, and the
Right.
projects were huge. They would have 10 different business divisions and then going through all the corporate red tape, and then you'd have to learn everything about that company. And I just had an epiphany one day and I thought, why don't we focus on one single vertical, become the best at it, stick with our industry, and in the end it becomes more of a conveyor belt scenario. We know exactly what to do. Our core competency becomes really experienced. We know how to deal with our clients, manage our clients, give them the best experience possible. And we decided to sell Stonewall, and we just embraced Vegas Kings with our full focus going forward.
Wow.
Wow.
Quite a journey. Well,
The
Yes.
so
amazing thing is that when I first met Ash at in Vegas, and I was meeting Vegas Kings, I thought you guys must be located in Vegas, but you're doing it all from South Africa. So
Well, I'll tell you what, this
how's that work? How's that an advantage or a disadvantage?
um actually, so the whole world of online gaming kind of really started here. It
Okay.
started in South Africa, especially
mm,
through microgaming. That's when all the casinos started. So we had a lot of resource in South Africa, and I was going to every single one of the conferences. I was out there. I started at the first conference. That's where I met Sue Schneider. Actually, we even went to Vegas to G2E before there were any online website vendors there. It was 100% offline gaming, and then slowly popped up one stand, and then two stands, and then every year it started growing until the wager happened, and they were all kicked out of the US. But kind of that's where it started. And then it was in Canada with River City Group, which was Sue Schneider who started it, which was 1999, I think was the first conference that we went to. And what a beautiful experience. It was so nice to be in this sort of this community and in an industry which was totally new. And we were kind of like the founders of, and it was beautiful. It was so nice to see it grow from that perspective. But I think being a South African company servicing the world has never been a hindrance to us. We've always been unbelievable with our communication, working with our clients. You've got the internet. And as time went on, the communication became so much easier with video calling and with everything. But we do go to every single conference. We've always got exposure there in some way or form. We always set up our meetings. You meet everybody in one place for 3 days. It's the best way to do business, and out of sight, out of mind. So we know that we have to be there. And there was one thing I thought of when you asked me your question, Kevin, was for a long time, everybody thinks Vegas Kings is an online casino.
Right.
And that has actually been a big problem. I meet people, I say I'm from Vegas Kings, and people instantly think I'm an online gaming site. They don't realize I'm an agency. Sometimes
mm,
I think maybe if we called ourselves casino agency or iGaming agency, it could have been better for us. But I think now that's a misconception that we actually are trying to change. And I think that's why I'm doing a lot of LinkedIn work is I'm trying to get people to really understand who we are as a brand and exactly what we do. And I think we're starting to funnel into trying to nail that at the moment.
Let's talk about what does Vegas Kings do for their clients? Like, what is your bread and butter? What is your specialty? How do you leave so many clients happy?
So we're a web design and development agency for online gaming. So we're all about creative assets and front end. We do a lot of back end work, but front end is our speciality. So effectively, a new client will come to us. A lot of clients come to us in the beginning of their online gaming journey, even if it's for sportsbook, casino, lottery, bingo, fantasy, anything within the iGaming realm. We develop their brand. We've got a really good internal brand development team. We go through all the design, the concept focus, design focus, build out the brand, and then we start building all the creative assets around that. So it's really, we start off with the website, then we build them their banner assets, then we build them landing pages, A/B testing, emailers. We find we do a lot of banners for affiliates. People have
Mm.
got, massive amount of affiliate assets that they need to build, all the creative for all the different campaigns and their promotions. And we do that, and we're really good at that, even down to all the language changes and everything. But really, we're strong on creative assets. And that's kind of how we've always wanted to differentiate ourselves, was being that front-end agency. There are a lot of dev agencies, like I know DataArt, you guys are very strong on the back end, and our
Mhm.
strength has always been front end. And that's why a lot of operators come to us even to do custom front-end developments. We take all the APIs and hooks and everything, and we create them the most beautiful custom front ends for the operators. I mean, for the operators who are signed up into those sort of rigid platforms, that they only get those sort of rigid front ends. You can choose between, let's say, two or three templates, and that's the layout of my sports book. So how do you sort of break that design open? And that's what we do. And I think the journey since the days we started, we were the first people to design online casinos. So we've kind of, I think, led the design trend from the start.
Mhm.
Um, that was me that was sitting with all these crazy brands, and I realized what works. And right in the early days, I was even sort of heat mapping sites and looking how users are clicking on websites and where they're clicking and what pages they're going to. And the sites started structuring themselves around the design. And instead of us just focusing on building a pretty front end, we actually build what we know works first, because we take a website and we call it a funnel. That's what it
Mhm.
is. You know what I mean? It's all about converting a user from initial visit into the website and funneling down to an FTD. Like that is exactly the core trail of what a player needs to go through. And that's exactly what an operator needs. So initially, we started off, all the operators used to come to us and say, "Hey, Moshe, I love pyramids, and I love Egypt. Let's go for an Egyptian theme." So we did
Mhm.
Egyptian themes. We did the diner themes. We did cowboy themes. We did torpedo themes. I can't tell you the amount of themes that we did. We did these beautiful Colosseum. We did Colosseum Casino, and the money were all these olden day coins with Colosseums and pillars, and it was fun. It really was fun. And we even used to go to the game providers, and we used to take sort of graphic assets from the actual games themselves and interpolate that onto the websites. And then we started realizing it's not just about the front end too. And if someone goes, and I think this could be a lesson for everybody, is, let's say you come to me and you tell me today, I want to do pyramidcasino.com. I say to you, yes, but maybe only 10% of your potential customer base will have any interest in pyramids. So how do you
Mhm.
find a kind of brand or theme that will cover a larger element of the market? So we try to come up with a more agnostic theme where the hero is the games, the hero is the roulette table, the hero is the slot machine. It's not the brand itself. So I think over time, sort of things have morphed through all our learnings to what works today. But I think it's very important for an operator to realize that it's all about being a conversion funnel. And if you get that conversion path right, and you get people to clicking all the way down to making a deposit, that's what it's all about, nothing else. So that's what we focus on. Even when it comes down to banner design and everything, we leave the prettiness at the door, we focus on the strategy that works, and then we prettify it afterwards. Kind of that's the way we work things. And it's worked very well for us. It's worked very well for our clients. We've had clients that we've had on retainers for 15 years.
Mm.
We work with clients that have been with us forever. And we really work with some huge brands. And I think we've got a lot of respect in the market, but we respect our clients too. We give them a lot of love. We always 100% service centric. And I think maybe that's, us being a boutique agency has allowed us to really, really focus on our clients. We don't take on too many clients. We just take on clients and brands that we absolutely love working with. And we just, nurture those relationships over a long period of time. And that's what we're there for. And, now like the internet has changed. There's a lot of web designers, a lot of developers out there, and a lot of people build internal teams. But even though maybe an operator's got an internal team, we find that there's always a bottleneck in the design work, and we still go in as a retainer and we still help them get all that work out. And then
Mhm.
sometimes when they need a full site refresh, they'll come to us, we will do it, and then hand it over to the internal team just to manage.
Yeah.
Oh,
So interesting because we've known Vegas Kings for many years. Um, this is the first time I'm realizing how much you do, like on the branding and marketing side. We knew about the development just because we had a few opportunities that we've looked at together over the years. But it's very interesting to learn how deep you go into the thought process of applying a brand to a company or just and
Yes.
helping them actually position themselves, based on what image they would like to portray or they can differentiate themselves. So that's
Russell, there's another
quite
thing.
unique.
There's just one more thing while
Hmm.
we're in this topic is, when you look at trends. So there's a lot of design trends, and every couple of years you get this new trend. It's either
Yeah.
minimalistic or it's this or it's that, you know what I mean? And
Hmm. Hmm.
icons change and the click here button changes, but you find that these trends don't fit the specific industry. A trend doesn't fit online gaming, and we have to kind of steer our clients away from trends and say, what is your core target market? What is your customer? What is your geo? You know what I mean? We have to understand every single one of those things and build the brand around every single one of those core tenants. And I
Yeah.
think that comes with a lot of strategy, a lot of experience, a lot of thinking. And the one trend that always makes me laugh, and we jumped into it hugely, was Flash. I don't know if you remember Flash animation.
Oh
So
yeah.
Flash animation came out and it was, oh my God, it was the best thing I'd ever seen. I mean, we had these, like all of a sudden a ball and a roulette wheel can fly into the screen and things are happening and things are bursting everywhere. And, I, Ashley at that stage, like when I started, I was a developer and designer. And when Ashley got involved, he was a developer and a designer. And we were involved in all the projects initially before we started, building a strong element of employees around us. But back in the day, Ashley was called Flash Ash. And
we're going to
he was
remember that.
honestly,
Uh-huh.
yeah, he was honestly one of the world's top professionals at Flash. I mean, what he
Wow.
could do with Flash was phenomenal. The way your nav bar would fly in and things would happen, it was so exciting. And we spent a lot of money sort of wanting to be the best Flash service provider on the planet. But what happened was Apple decided
Yeah.
that in their Safari
I was
browser,
about to say that Apple crushed all of
they
them,
would not
all those
include the
dreams.
Flash plugin. So
Yeah.
like that just killed it, in 1 second. And
Yeah.
that was, I think, our first big learning experience about these internet trends, that it just doesn't fit the trend. And you've always got to focus on the market. Like even Africa, Africa is sort of a growing market, but you need very light applications for those phones. And Africa is 100% mobile. So you get European operators will come to us and say, we're getting into the African market. Come build us an exquisite website and let's port this on and let's make it happen. And the conversion ratios are rubbish. So
Yeah.
we have to kind of funnel them again into knowing what works for that specific market and step away from trends and step away from specific sort of design language and make sure again they put on the rails to follow their market strategy.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Excellent. So yeah, thank you for all that. I mean, that's even though as I said, we've known you for years, we're learning more about you here too. So uh, that was excellent. As you're looking ahead to the future, I mean, obviously AI is somewhere in that path. Like, what do you see kind of the next few years from your perspective as a web developer, branding strategy in the industry? What do you see like some of the opportunities, some of the changes that could be coming?
It's exciting. It's interesting. It's scary. It's worrying. It put us on the edge a little bit. But, we embraced it. We embraced it a long time ago. We built a phenomenal sort of AI front-end builder, which we're going to launch into the market soon. We kind of productizing AI. We're using a lot of AI resources in our design every day, and it's actually taken the quality of our work right up. There's one thing I didn't mention is we also design game front ends. So we also do slot designs from start to finish, music, everything. We even do maths. So we use that a lot in our design language, and for us in the old days, like you would produce a slot and client would come to us, we'd start with an initial 2D sketch, come up
Mhm.
with a character design, and then that would take a couple of weeks, and then we'd take it to the client. The client would approve that. Then we'd go into 2D, then we'd have to get that approved, then we'd have to go into 3D, and it would just, then you'd have to create this congruency between all the different icon sets and how your backgrounds and everything, where now we can come up with a slot design in 3D quickly.
Mm.
Obviously, you really have to understand how to make all the icon sets work together and how all the projects work together. It's very there's a very big difference between just being able to leverage AI tools and to really understand your tools and work it through. So we've really trained our internal teams on AI, but we're leveraging it and we're leveraging it successfully. And not only are we benefiting from it by having improved quality of work, but our clients are getting work done at speed. So I
Yeah,
think it's really sort of it's benefiting us and our clients. We were very worried about, everyone was panicking about all of a sudden, like, our dev work's going to dry up and our front end work's going to dry up and anyone can create a landing page. But, AI doesn't have the IP that we have. So
right.
someone can knock out a landing page, but that thing might not convert at all. People will not click on it. It doesn't have all the right elements in place. It doesn't put the game's navigation button in the right spot and this and that. So we still have a space in this game. And I think if you're very much focused on a specific industry and you sort of wrap yourself around the IP of that industry, I think there's longevity. But we have to be clever at what we do and we have to embrace AI the way it is. But I'm very excited by it and I leverage it continuously every single day. I leverage it for innovation. There's so many tricks that I do. I'll even sit and come up with some interesting innovation and then I'll go search the US Patent Office using AI, and then I'll actually build patents and submit patents, all AI created without speaking to one lawyer and use AI to build out all these future thinking innovations for me. And I'm leveraging it 24/7. It's like the best thing in the whole world. It's taken my intelligence factor from there to there, just because now whatever I think, I can now actually get out into the world and into a document and create stuff straight away.
Yeah.
So it's great, but I'm sure that you guys are just as freaked out as us. What's going to happen? Universal basic income. What's going to happen? I've got kids that are coming out of one's in university. I've got a kid that's going into university. What's their future going to be like? Which road and which route do I have to push them down so they've got a livelihood ahead and some longevity in this world? those are the questions that freak us out all the time. I mean, I sit and watch all these podcasts, Dara, the CEO, and everyone, and there's a lot of people that are instilling panic. So
Yeah,
I don't know what you guys are thinking.
there's uncertainty for sure, but as an organization, we made a commitment earlier in the year to um, kind of double down on AI and the supporting data that's powering AI. So we made a significant investment both internally and with our clients to focus on AI, but not as not from the perspective as what initially kind of was the goal, like, oh, AI is going to replace every single worker in the world. We look at it as how pretty much exactly what you just said. How is it going to make me more efficient and bring product services quicker to market? Um, so that's what we focus on. And from, I guess, my personal experience and opinion, I think that um, uh, we're shifting kind of towards that understanding of AI rather than AI replacing human beings. It's like, how can AI work with human beings? So that the narrative is
Yes.
moving in that direction. Because as you said, Moshe, um, the IP that you have here, that AI will never have that, right? So yeah.
Look, we're trying to sort of extract what's here into an LLM, into our own sort of SLM, a small language model, which is 100% focused on us and gaming and our IP. And then how do we leverage that and how do our team dip into that and use that to better service our clients and customers, And so that's kind of very much what we focused on. One thing that really excites me at the moment is everyone is competing for the same players. Like a lot of these markets at the moment are oversaturated with brands, and your larger brands are going to go through a lot of consolidation. And it's just the only way to really start competing in that market is to look inwards and look at your database, build intelligence, and use AI to really focus on the data that you have and look at your past customers and think, how can I increase the lifetime value of those players?
Mhm.
And what else can I bring those players? If uh, and then sort of how do I reactivate my old players? And that's the thinking that people are going through and should be going through, especially in sort of UK and South Africa, where all the tax rates have gone through the roof. And all your different marketing channels are starting to constrict and you're starting to think, oh my God, I'm an operator. How am I going to compete in this market? But people need to look inwards. And we
Mhm.
spent a lot of time with Optimove. We love Optimove. We look at a CRM platform like that and we think, that's the key to unlocking all that additional value. And we've seen it happen with our clients. So the more intelligence that you can actually use and leverage to convert those customers over time, that is where the power is. And that's also where we kind of diversifying a little bit, where we still focus on building these graphic assets, but doing them for multiple user journeys with inside sort of a CRM platform. Because you can
Yeah.
imagine someone needs to now speak to, let's say, 30, 50 different player segments. And to each and every single player segment, how do you speak to them uniquely? How do you speak to someone that's been a player for 3 years to a player that's been there for 1 week? It's two different worlds. And
Right.
that needs different language. It needs different graphic assets. And people are incorporating gamification into their systems now, which has kind of become part and parcel of CRM. And how do you build unique gamification graphics and assets? And that's kind of where we're also focusing on building packages around those type of products and thinking. I think that's amazing. And like if you think about this is a cool analogy that I used to think about was Bugsy Siegel. I mean, the guy was amazing. He was driving around, into the middle of a desert and suddenly has this mad vision that here we need to build a casino in the middle of nowhere,
Hmm.
and everyone looked at him like he was an idiot. But look what Vegas has turned into today. But, when you started the casino, you needed housing for the employees. You needed a shop where people
Infrastructure,
can start
yeah.
buying commodity and
Mhm.
infrastructure, and all that infrastructure starts to build around it. And I think online casinos and sports books today, they've got a captive audience which are in the hundreds of thousands. And what they're doing is they're only focused on what their core competency is, and that's casino and gaming. But why aren't they focusing on building further infrastructure around their product? And I
Yeah.
think that's also something where we're going to see a lot of innovation around, where we start understanding not only what the customer spending habit is at the casino, but where else is he spending money? What else is he doing? How can I incorporate a loyalty program that reaches him in other areas of his life? And I
Yeah.
think that all that intelligence is going to sort of be disseminated out of AI and a lot of sort of deep thinking and deep theory. And we're going to see the gaming industry really flourish, but a little bit differently. And I think that's where the future is going. And I'm very excited by it.
Yeah, that's excellent point to end on. Uh,
It's a good one.
yeah. Thank you so much, Moshe. This was very interesting, especially like this last part about, the future of the industry. I think we should revisit this conversation a few months from now, see how accurate you were. I'm sure you will be.
No, I believe it's going to take sort of 5 more years because everybody is so slow to adopt in this industry because, it's scary to make these sort of pivots and changes and additions to these businesses. But I think the people that are going to embrace this are going to flourish even further. And when you're looking at the crypto casinos out there and everything, and we're all a bit freaked out by these operators, but at the end of the day, they are very new, they're very agile, and they're starting to really do new things. And it's almost like we can watch them, see how they do, see the innovations that they prove to the market, and then that will be adopted into the regulated market.
Right.
So it's almost like there are trailblazers that we can watch and
Yeah.
then start adopt those things because I'm in the regulated market. I love the regulated market. I'm a very big I push compliance and I push regulation. I think it's important, especially when you want to build IP into brands and products. So we'll see the change, and I think it's great that crypto is kind of showing us where the next frontier is going to be, especially in game innovation too. We're going to see a lot there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think Gen
Oh,
Z, the whole new Gen Z audience is going to, you didn't even talk about the audience shift. I mean, you're going to see these, you've got kids going into college that they're looking at gaming in a totally different way. So you're going to have
Yes,
to keep up with the audience in that way. So it's going to be, I think
but
that's
like,
interesting.
I mean, I know you're saying goodbye, but
Yeah.
just like a last thing is
Yeah.
I actually wrote about this the other day because I can't believe that I missed it. Was Aviator. Aviator, I'd actually saw Aviator when it launched, or before it even launched. The guy came to me and he showed it to Ashley and I, and we looked at it and we actually said, "This is rubbish. This is not going to work." You
Right.
know what I mean? I actually, we totally missed it. We thought that we are the number one innovation experts, but in actual fact, I had no idea that this was going to be something as big as it's become. And I think there's a lot of blind spots for us all, especially within these sort of younger age groups,
Right.
as you say, the millennials and stuff. And
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see what comes out of it. And I think a lot of these simpler games, and I think a lot of these cool games are actually sitting in the skill world, and peer-to-peer gaming world. And I
Yes.
think that's where we're going to see a lot of flourish in the future. The simpler stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
The 80s are back,
Well, what's going to happen in lottery?
Right.
That's another,
Yeah.
that's, I mean, everyone's focused at the moment on, your core big draws, your quick Keno games and scratch, wow, digital scratch. But at the end of the day, these fixed odd games are really going to they have to sort of change the way they're speaking to their customer base because these young customers don't go stand in lines
No.
at lottery stores. Like, what are the games that they're going to play? What are the jackpots going to resonate with them? And
Mhm.
that's kind of a lot of thinking that I'm involved at the moment is trying to understand, where the lottery world is going to be. And it's very exciting stuff.
Yeah.
That's right.
Excellent. Well, thank you for your time, Moshe. We really appreciate it.
Excellent.
We hope to speak and see you soon.
Yeah, thanks, gentlemen. I really enjoyed the energy and I look forward to chatting to you guys again and seeing you at the next conference.
Yep,
We will.
for sure.
All right.
Thank you.
See ya.